Okay. So, hi, Nito. How are you?
Hey Camila, I'm good, thanks.
So, this might be.
It's gonna be fun speaking.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry.
but no, no, I was just gonna say it's gonna be fun speaking in English today because we're used to chatting in Portuguese usually.
Yes, yes. I was going to say the same thing. It might be. Well, we have exchanged messages on WhatsApp in English, like some days ago for the first time, and
Yeah.
we've known each other for over a year, so it's different, right? Do you think that when you know someone and you use the same language, that relationship has a personality that when you change languages, it is a bit different, weird? What do you think?
I'd say it's definitely different. I do think that, in my opinion, certain languages have certain personalities. So when I'm speaking in Spanish or Portuguese, for example, I think I'm a lot more, I'd say, free when I'm speaking. I
Really?
don't know if you feel, yeah, yeah. So I think it's definitely different. What do you feel about that?
um I'm not sure what you think, but definitely when I'm speaking English or any other language, I need to think more. So maybe I'm irrational because I have to think more.
No, I think at the end of the day, I definitely know that I make a lot of mistakes in Portuguese, but it's all about getting to actually speaking and just having fun with it at the end of the day. So I think
Yeah,
this is what this is about as well, actually having fun, just watching films and going through it. So yeah, looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I am definitely amazed because your English, I love your accent. Ah, so I feel honored that you're talking to me, that we are here today to discuss a movie for this new project that I have. So, first of all, thank you for agreeing to do this. And second, thank you for recommending me this movie. I found it amazing. Difficult to watch, but definitely worth it. So, how did you came across this movie? When I was telling you a little bit about the project, I gave you a list and then you suggest this movie. You said that you have seen it some days or weeks ago and it stuck, the movie stuck with you.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, first of all, I mean, no, thank you for inviting me to the project as well. I think it's an awesome initiative, and yeah, glad to be a part of it. And so, in terms of the film that we're going to discuss today, Falling Down, the first time I watched it was literally last weekend. And I know that we were speaking about a number of films that we could potentially watch, but I ended up just watching it on a whim with my little brother. I think we just wanted something to put on Netflix and just kind of kill the time, so to speak. And Falling Down, I think we just came across it, and like you said, it definitely stuck. I think because it was so powerful in a sense in terms of the plot line. I don't think I've seen anything similar to it. It's hard to compare with any other film that I've seen. So I instantly, when you were suggesting films, I instantly suggested that we could watch this, even if it wasn't the one we discussed today. I just wanted to see what you thought of it as well.
yes, yes, you said something very interesting. That you have never seen a plot line like this one before. And after finishing it, I was trying to compare with other movies, but I couldn't. This movie was made in 1993. And yeah, and ever since, I have never seen a movie quite like that before. Or at least I don't remember feeling, I could feel the anger of the character. I could, it was an amazing, stunning performance of the actor, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think he completely embodied. the character really well.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think the anger and the frustration um, on on the part of the character was really palpable throughout the entire film. I
Yeah.
think, obviously from the beginning, even the opening scene of the film, it was so kind of crowded and intense. You
Yeah.
could feel everyone getting kind of angry, frustrated, and I think throughout the whole film, I don't know about you, but there was never really a release.
No.
There was never a point where you can kind of sit back and think, okay, things have calmed down now. The whole kind of 2 hours or however long it was one kind of intense kind of rampage after another. So it's very, very powerful in that sense.
Yes. 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 Um, so the storyline, so the movie begins with this. I believe he is a former officer. He was a
Yeah,
defense worker, so he's in traffic. He's trying to get to work, to go to work, or so we think.
yeah,
Actually, we discover later that he was fired, and then he would pretend that like he was going to work. So he's going to work. He's on the freeway. There is a delay. There is this huge traffic, and then he gets sick of it, and he leaves his car, and then it's just one individual creating chaos in the
yeah.
whole city. Well,
It's, I think it was just, I mean, he literally, I think he walked parallel to the crowd as well when he was walking away. I think it was funny because, I mean, obviously, like we said, the opening scene was intense, but the one thing he kind of managed to focus on in all of the noise of the crowd was, I think there was in the car in front of him, there was a little girl. And I think he was just watching, and I think that reminded him of his daughter. And yeah, and then he set off. He made that his one goal that he was going to see his daughter that day. And yeah, he just went for it, I think.
yeah, yeah. I thought a lot. I thought about a lot of things while I was watching it. Do you say while or whilst, or it's the same?
You can say either or one or the other.
Yeah, and feel free to correct my terrible, terrible English if you'd like
No,
to.
first of all, your English is amazing.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, definitely. It's like I'm having a conversation with a friend in England here, so all good.
Okay. Thank you, Nito. So now I forgot. Oh, okay, okay. Whilst I was watching it, I was thinking about a lot of things, and one thing that I was thinking throughout the movie was that he has this anger inside of him, and I feel like whenever I'm feeling a strong emotion, I
Yeah,
attract people who are feeling or behaving the same way. And then since he has this anger inside of him, this frustration, I think every character that he has met sort
yeah.
of like fueled even more his anger.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, no, you make a good point there because I think obviously he met with initially the shopkeeper,
yeah,
and I think that was obviously a fun exchange where he, I think, used the baseball bat that he found later on to literally just kind of wreck the shop, and then he goes on to meet a gang. Um, so the
yeah,
violence kind of escalates, and then the neo-Nazi, and then the person in the golf resort. I think it was kind of there was a lot of energy from both sides. I think, and it just wasn't his day in the in a kind of nice way to put it.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think sometimes the energy that you put out to the world can be reflected back
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. I think so. It is important whenever I'm getting that type of energy, not that extreme, but I right now I can usually tell when I'm meeting people and they're giving me some responses. if it's more than one people, I normally stop and I think, what am I delivering here? How am I attracting this? And it is interesting. But yeah, so he was very frustrated. And why do you think that is? Why was he so angry and furious?
I think that's a good question. I wouldn't say, I think obviously in some situations there might be one specific catalyst, there might be one specific point which causes someone to kind of just lash out. In this case, I think it was more of a scenario of a build up of several things which just kind of culminated in this one day. So I'd say it was like a bad day at the end of a bad month, at the end of a bad year for him, I think. Um, I think for me, um, one of the themes that I kind of got from the film was what it means to have purpose. You know, how do you define your own identity? Obviously, the character. So you know, his license plate, which we see at the beginning of the film, it's called. He has defense on it,
Mhm.
and you know he's wearing his work uniform as well. So one of the ways that he chooses to identify himself is as someone who works in the defense office, and
Yeah.
he's lost that job now, so he's lost that sense of purpose. And then another aspect is that you know he's clearly someone who wanted to have a role as a father in a family, and you know after the divorce he's lost that as well. So I think he's just kind of come to the point where he doesn't really know um, you know what his purpose is anymore, and he's trying to find that identity. And I think that's probably one of the biggest sources of frustration for him. I think that's what I get. And how about you? Is there anything that you think might have caused him to kind of lash out in that way?
Hmm. I really love what you just said. Um, so you said that we need this, and I agree with you that m- we maybe we need this sense of identity, and usually we search it outside of us,
Yeah,
outwards, in a job that we have, in a role, in a family, with our friends, in our community, and it makes me think about whenever we face this, would you say depressions, not depressions in a person, but economic depressions, that is when the how do you say, the taxas, the suicide rates, the suicide
yeah,
rates increase because people, they identify with the things that they have, they own, and whenever there is a world crisis, people, they lost their sense of identity without the money or the properties that they have. So it created this, I don't know, um, so so you're right, he loses his job, he sees himself as a defense officer, he does not longer have that,
yeah. He no longer has that.
he no longer has that, and he no longer has his wife and his daughter, and then he loses what he thought he was.
Yeah,
So I struggle with that, because I do not like to take vacation, because if I'm not a Portuguese teacher, what am I? I sometimes think that, and I'm like, that is so completely wrong, because my sense of identity should not be in the profession that I have. But I love so much what I do that it's,
yeah.
but what if one day I cannot longer teach? I can no longer teach. What will I be?
I think think that's the difficult thing because obviously, you know, for some people, work is work. Whereas, you know, like you said, some people they tie in their identity and a lot of their kind of ambition with their role. And, you know, not only are you the Portuguese teacher, but the best Portuguese teacher on iTalking
No,
out
thank
there.
you. I'll pay you
But
later. Thank you.
thank you. But I think, you know, what comes with that as well, you know, thinking about why you like teaching Portuguese. So, in terms of being able to meet new people, in terms of being able to share your kind of culture, and there's a lot. It's not just a title, it's not just kind of, you know, something that you're doing mechanically. There's a
Yeah.
lot that's tied into that. So, I think in that way, he did kind of lose a lot of him. And one of the scenes, I think, if you remember, was when he was about to buy the snow globe outside the
Yeah.
shop, and he saw someone protesting with the placard. I can't remember quite what it said, but it was something along the lines of not economically viable.
Exactly that.
Yeah, so I think, and then there was just a moment where there was a pause, and he was kind of taking that in as well, and maybe relating that to his character as well, and thinking that he's in the same situation. He's not viable, like economically viable anymore, and what does that mean for him? There was, and then at the end of the scene, I think the police arrested the man with the placard, and he was seen kind of telling him, "Don't forget about me." And I think maybe that reflected his fear as well. He doesn't want to be forgotten. You know, I think that's potentially another cause why he was fighting so hard that day to just get through to that one goal. He just needed something. He just needed a win, I think.
Wow. Do you think he won?
Um, Good question. I'm gonna let you answer that one first. I wanna hear what you thought.
Hmm. Okay. Um, the thing that I would like to say first is that he was going, the goal was to get to his daughter birthday. That was what he had. That was what he
Yeah,
needed. And while he was trying to do that during the course of the day, he he meets these people and he causes these episodes of destructions. But he didn't mean it. Deep down,
yeah,
he didn't mean it. I could
yeah. I
feel like
agree
he
with you.
was confused. And
Yeah,
so when he was at the Korean guy store, the guy was like, "Take the money, take the money." And he was like, "What? Do you think I want to steal?" And
yeah,
and he was confused. He was exploding all the time, but I think he couldn't stop it. And
yeah.
he didn't see it is as bad. He was so. Yeah, I think yeah, in other situations, he didn't kill the guy, the gang, the Latino gang. He
Yeah,
just shoot him in the leg. He does not want to commit murder. I think he has a sense of morality, so to speak, of what is right, what
yeah.
is wrong, but I think he can help it to he's sick. I don't know. He didn't mean it.
I think
And
that's a really good point.
yeah, yeah, what do
Yeah,
you think?
yeah. No, I think I would totally agree with you there. I think even though a lot of the things that he did technically, you know, weren't great, I don't think he's meant to be portrayed as a hero in any sense. But at the same time, I don't think he was intrinsically vindictive. I don't think he was out there with a purpose to harm anyone or to hurt people. But I think it was just a sequence of events that happened. Each time he kind of came across people that, you know, were literally getting in his way. I think a good example of that would be, for example, when he met the gang initially, he was just sitting and kind of watching the view. And then he wanted to leave, but they were blocking his way. They said, you know, they wouldn't kind of let him pass without taking his briefcase and other
Yeah,
things. So he kind of ended up having to defend himself. And that's what, you know, even for example, in the shop with the neo Nazi, it's clear that he has his values because the shopkeeper who was the Nazi, he was obviously, you know, the triple whammy, so to speak. He was homophobic, racist, and sexist, and he assumed that because he could, I guess, feel some kind of anger or frustration from him, that he was the same. But he
yeah,
defense clearly said that no, I don't agree with this. Like, I'm here to kind of just kind of get on with my day. I don't believe in what you're saying. And he was to leave once again by this person, and he had to kind of retaliate as a defense. So I think, like you said, I don't think he set out to be the bad guy. And two kind of clear parts that we can see this as well is, remember after he walked through the golf course, there was a
Hmm.
family, and
Yeah.
he kind of grabbed the girl, and the parent said, "Please don't hurt her," and he immediately said, "No, no, no. Do you think I would hurt her? I have a family. I would never do something like that." And then at the end, right at the end, where he was kind of face to face with Detective Prendergast, he he made a comment saying, "I'm the bad guy." Like he was
Yeah.
shook. Yeah. He said, "I've followed the rules all my life. Like, how did this happen?" He was kind
Yeah.
of shocked by it himself. He didn't see it coming either. So I think, what you said was very valid. It was never his goal to kind of cause that destruction. It just kind of happened.
Yeah. 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 I wrote down that sentence. I think it was one of the powerful moments of the movie. I'm the bad guy. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And it can happen, like not in that level, but I was thinking that we could all cause destruction without meaning. So things happened to him. He reacted to those things. And, but anyway, I wanted to ask you something. So sometimes people hurt us and things happens to us like it happened to him, like he lost his job, he lost his family, and he lost his sense of identity. But does it give us the right to take it on other people? Like, because I feel like sometimes we might think that it's justified, that things
Yeah.
bad things happens to us, we start seeing the world with some lens
Yeah.
differently, and then we judge everything by how we are feeling and perceiving reality. And then, you know, there is I read this book once. It is one of my favorite books. In Portuguese it's called O Encontro Marcado. I'm not sure how to say that in English. It's like the appointment, the date, I don't know. And there is this character in the book that says that whenever he is in love, the Mondays are bearable. And then because Monday is a difficult day for the majority, like we need to start working. And then he says that whenever he has that feeling, that special feeling for someone, or he receives a letter of his loved one, he sees life differently. So he's
Yeah.
kinder. And yeah, so when things are going our way, we we try to give back. But when they're not, so do you, I
Yeah.
mean, it isn't fair to take it on others, right? Whenever we are feeling frustration. But I
No.
think that this guy, who has no name, by the way, he, what is his name in the movie?
So I think throughout the film they never directly refer to him as anything other than defense. That's how the
Yeah.
police refer to him as, by his number plate. But technically, I think it was like William Foster. I only know that because
Yeah.
of Wikipedia,
Yeah.
but it's
Wikipedia
it's
told you.
defense in the film. Yeah,
Defense. Yeah. So he's taking it in on others.
yeah.
He's taking on others,
He's taking it out on others.
taking out on others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really fair. We understand, but I don't think it's fair, right? Especially when
No,
people are dying. They're killing
exactly. And
them.
um, I think obviously some of the actions that he committed, they were kind of consequential of the events of the day. But he did, however, I think threaten his ex-wife in many ways. I think even in one of the phone calls, he said something quite sinister. I remember it was something in regards to, in some countries, they would kill their wives if they disrespected them, or something like that. So, like I said, he's not a hero in that sense of the word. he, although a lot of the incidents he did that happened were accidental, he still knew that he was upsetting and kind of threatening his wife, but he still wanted to, like you said, I think he just wanted to get what he wanted that day and see his daughter. And I like the description that you said, about how some people see things differently depending on their mood. They put on a different lens, I think you used the word.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, to kind of understand this film as well, because I think in the kind of poster for the film we see Defense wearing glasses which are cracked, and
Yeah.
that's
Wow,
that's quite
interesting.
cool because I think it might be a reflection of perhaps the fact that he's seeing like the world now through a cracked lens. He's seeing all the problems, and that might be either the way he's seeing it, or that might be a reflection of him. But it's just there's a sense of kind of things aren't complete, and yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question for you now.
Mm.
Who would you say in the film was your favorite character, or even if they weren't favorite, um, kind of someone who you thought you could relate to or see as see as a protagonist, if possible?
Well, wow. Difficult question. You know, I do relate to the defense officer. That's bad because that's very bad. But also, I do relate to the police officer, the woman.
Yeah,
She's
Sandra.
trying, Sandra. So
Hmm.
I do like that she's trying to, uh, what she's trying to convince the Prendergast not to
Yeah.
listen so much to his partner, that she might be being abusive, and then he
Hmm.
might not be doing what he wants because of that relationship. And I do like her a lot. But I think that not in that extreme, but I have had days William, like William did, where um, and, and that is interesting because someone gave me an advice, not someone, Jordan Peterson. Do you know who he is?
I don't, but I'll you can tell me who he
I
is.
will tell you. So he wrote this book that I loved called 12 Rules for Life. He's a psychologist. He's a Canadian psychologist. So he wrote this book and he says that if we follow those 12 rules, we are going potentially to be happier than we are today. And those rules are very practical. And also he explains like the biology or the chemistry or the psychology core of
Hmm.
it, why do
Yeah.
they work. So there is, uh, that is not the rule. It is inside one of the rules that I do not remember which were, but he says that whenever has depressed patients, he says that they need to get breakfast as soon as they wake up. That's the most important thing, to get protein and other type of nutrients, because
Yeah.
he says that if you do not get those nutrients soon in the morning, if something happens, it will mess it up, the system. I do not know the medical terms to it, but he says that you will you will have to sleep at night. So only the next day
Hmm.
your body will be regulated again. So if you do not have
Yeah.
breakfast, so the most important thing is to wake up at the same time. Depressed patients wake up at the same time, even if you do not sleep at the
Yeah.
same time, and eat breakfast as soon as you wake up. So that was a great advice because I know that when I'm well fed, yeah, I my days are
Yeah.
usually better. So why I'm telling you
Yeah.
this is because sometimes when something happens right in the morning, I think if it is a bad thing, I think the chances of, if you do not eat, if you haven't slept well, if you have a long day
Yeah.
of work ahead of you and something very upsetting happen, then you will be soon in a mood where you wouldn't turn things around. So I've been there, not to that extreme, but I do can relate to this character a lot. The What about you? Do you
Yeah, no,
can you
I
relate to him?
think I think, to be honest, everyone has that part within them.
Yeah.
Sometimes, some days, I think, you know, you have that kind of resentment towards a lot of things. I like what you said about you know, having breakfast or kind of completing just one part of the day where you can just kind of think, okay, so I've done accomplished one task and now I can move on to others. I just want to know, do you know the term hangry?
Yeah.
Hangry? It's not meant to be an actual English word. It's a combination of hungry and angry. This is completely on a
Hungry.
tangent. Hangry.
Hungry. Huh.
So that's when we say it. So say if someone hasn't had, you know, their breakfast or their dinner and they're getting a bit irritable, so we say that they're being hangry because they need to eat something. They need to before, otherwise they're gonna act crazy. So I really like that explanation.
Yeah, thank you, thank
Um,
you. It is a good there is a good word to describe that state.
but it's definitely, I think, one of the things. But um, so like I said, I think everyone sometimes can relate to defense or William in, you know, in some respect. I think for me, I quite liked Detective Prendergast. I think I quite liked him as a
Why?
character. Um, because to be honest, I think I don't know how you feel, but I think there were maybe quite a few parallels between defense. I keep on doing this. Let's call him defense.
Yeah.
Defense and Detective Prendergast through the
Mm,
film, because to be honest, even though you know, technically one was on the side of the law, one was kind of opposing all of the laws. I think they've been through a lot of the similar kind of pressures in life.
yeah.
They both, in a sense, lost their daughters.
Yeah.
Obviously, Prendergast, his daughter passed away. Uh, Defense, his daughter, in a sense, because he had no visitation rights of the divorce, he wasn't able to see his daughter. I think, you know, they both had precarious kind of family situations. So defense, obviously, the divorce, but also there was kind of, we didn't get the full kind of explanation of what went on in his kind of parental home, but we did kind of get from the police that when they went to see his mum, that she said he blames her for the divorce. We don't understand why,
Mhm.
but there's some kind of, you know, there's some kind of issue there. And obviously, with Prendergast towards the end at the pier, there was a connotation that perhaps his wife had something to do, either directly or indirectly, with his daughter's death. There was a connotation where he said that his wife never wanted to have a child, she wanted to keep her figure, and his daughter kind of passed away, but the circumstances weren't really clear.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that side, and then both have a similar situation with work, in the sense that there's no you know, they don't feel respected in the roles that they have. Defense was obviously fired from his job, and now he can't pay his child support for his daughter. And then Detective Prendergast, even though he was more than competent in his role, he clearly, you know, worked out the case, he followed the clues, and he kind of took it, you know, head on
Yeah.
and to solve it. But he still wasn't respected by, you know, most of his peers, his, you know, his boss,
Yeah.
just because he worked at the desk. You know, there was, I think one of the comments that was made by his boss was that, you know, he doesn't like Prendergast because he's not a man. He says, because you don't swear, you're not a man. And I think that's another point that the two have in common, this kind of, what does it mean to be a man in that sense. I think that was another kind of theme. But even though they have these parallels between them, I think one of the interesting things is that Prendergast managed to kind of roll with the punches in a sense and keep things intact, whereas defense, he kind of crumbled or shattered under the pressure. And I know I'm rambling, but I think a really cool kind of way that I think the director maybe showed this was with the snow globes. Do you remember? I think so. Detective Prendergast, he had a snow globe with the London Eye, or the London Bridge, sorry, with it, and he managed to keep his snow globe intact. It was there throughout. Whereas obviously then when defense went into the shop after he bought the snow globe with the horse, the unicorn in it, it was smashed by the neo-Nazi owner.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a reflection because in both of these snow globes were their ideals. So the London Bridge for Prendergast reflected this kind of time where his family and himself were happy. And for defense as well, the unicorn represented the time where he bought his daughter that rocking horse. And in his mind, that was this kind of perfect time as well. But his perfect time was literally shattered
Yeah.
before his eyes. So it's I think interesting to kind of see the parallels, but see how
Yeah.
one person can still go ahead and kind of continue and be okay with what's happening, and one person can completely crumble.
Wow. Wow. As you were saying this, I was thinking how much I love how you analyze these movies.
Too
Uh, I,
much, maybe. Too much.
I've seen you do this, and it amazes me every time. We discuss over, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 movies in Portuguese, and I think you are very good at it. Do you love cinema, movies? Have you done like a course on it or study it? How to
No,
do
I think I
that?
just overthink. I think I just overthink too much.
No.
I think that's it. No, I think one of the things I really, I guess, enjoy is trying to understand why maybe things happen, or what the reason might be, what might have caused someone to act in one way or another. And yeah, that's where the overthinking comes in.
Oh yeah.
But I think yeah, I think um it's always kind of interesting, I guess. You know?
Yeah. No, it is. It is. It is. And yeah, I think the more the time passes, the more I can. I wouldn't say that you overthink or I overthink, or at least not in this situation, but I think that the movie grows in us, something grows, and then we can, I don't know, see other parallels. Is that correct pronunciation? Parallels?
Parallels, yeah. It's a
Parallels?
funny word, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, and understand and compare and go deep. Yeah. I'm not sure if you've seen Bacurau. Have you seen it with us for the movie club? Have you seen it?
I think
Yeah.
we did it for one of
Yeah,
our
and then
film
I was
club
so happy.
competitions.
This is completely off topic or not so much, but Obama just put Bacurau on his lists on his the top 20 movies that he has seen. I'm not sure if it was this
Oh,
year
very
or
good.
ever. Hmm?
Well, you did it before Obama, so you're the trendsetter there.
You know, right? Yeah. But what I wanted to say is that we've seen this movie maybe in July or June, July or June. It's been almost 6 months or 5 months, and there is not a day where I haven't thought about that movie. And yeah, so that movie, I would say that it was the movie that has grown the most in me. But I do believe that
Yeah.
this one, it might be similar. But I was wondering, and I would like to ask you, maybe as the last question, because we might be running out of time here. I wanted to ask you if you would watch it again, because honestly, I'm not sure if I would, because even though it was like this, and Bacurau, I will watch Bacurau again, but after finishing Bacurau, I was like, that was intense, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I want to, I do want to, and I do want to watch this movie again, but I'm not sure when or if I will. And so, yeah, I wanted to ask you if you like the end of the movie. Too many questions. Do you like how the movie ended? Did you like how the movie ended? Yeah, yeah. And would you watch it again? Would you recommend this movie also to everyone? Yeah,
So I think, um, do I like how the movie ended? I think, yeah, I think it was a kind of, in a sense, he kind of found a small form of justice. He had it planned. I think he had it planned. He knew that maybe it wasn't going to work out, and he knew that he had the toy gun in his pocket, and clearly he was thinking about what was best for his daughter as well, and he knew that he couldn't help her from prison. Uh, and it was kind of tragic. I think that if I was to kind of describe the whole film in one word, it would be tragic. Um, so I think even though it was difficult to watch, I think it made sense for the ending to happen the way it did. Would I watch it again? I would, but maybe
yeah,
after a while. I think there's just so much to it. There's so much detail. It's very intense. I think it needs to be on a day where maybe I'm not feeling intense, because I think it can be quite a heavy film to watch.
yeah,
Um, but because so much happened in like a short space of time, that I think maybe I'd like to watch it again and see if I've missed anything as well, just because
yeah.
it's really kind of incredible. And then would I recommend it to other people? Well, clearly I am. Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
did.
think
Thank you.
I
Thank you
think
for that.
yeah. No, I think it's I'd like to, actually know what people think about it, because it's a different film in the sense that it's a lot. It's a lot, and at the same time it's so human.
Yeah,
It's kind of a shocking kind of realism, I think,
yeah,
in the film.
yeah,
And I think especially now, especially with a lot of people, I think with the situation that's happening in the world, there's a lot of people who are unfortunately losing their jobs and kind of feeling this sense of losing their purpose. And so I think potentially it's, even though it was made in 1993, to this day, and particularly at this point, it's so relevant.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, I definitely would recommend it to people, just to kind of see what they think about it. And I mean, I know that we've talked for way longer than we said we would, but I have one question for you.
hmm.
Did you like the film?
I did. I did. I did. I do like this type of things or this type of movies that sticks with you.
Yeah,
That I know that time will pass, and I will still remember what I felt while I was watching this movie. So I think I like those significant moments where
yeah,
something can touch you, can touch you and shake you and made you think. And I think that after this movie, or I mean, when something like that like touches me that deeply, I know that I will never be the same again, and I it changed me in a sense. So yeah, even though it was difficult to watch, I have learned so many things with this movie. Yes. and I have learned so many things, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it was worth it. And you know, I even if I mean, n- I usually like everything that I see, that I watch. We can learn everything with everything. We can learn something with everything. But this
Yeah.
movie, it was a little bit beyond, a lot beyond just learning. It was feeling, connecting. Oh, it was intense, really, really intense. So
Yeah.
I thank you so much for this opportunity. I wouldn't watch this movie if it wasn't for you. So thank you for recommending this movie to me, and especially thank you for having this conversation with me. I know that this moment that we are having here will be, it is already special, but I know that as the time passes, I will always remember this moment with you with love. So thank you, Nito. You are a great person and a great friend, and so really it means a lot to me. This, thank you.
I mean, no, I'm just so happy that I'm gonna do the half one because but I'm just so happy that that's if you do Photoshop and make it double, there we
No,
go.
yeah, we can do together. So yeah,
There
it
we go.
is.
Does that work?
Yes, yes, yes. It is the best.
We've got. But no, I think it's the least I can do to kind of recommend a film for you as well. I mean, obviously we've had film club for a good few months now, and I think you always put a lot of thought into the films that you choose. And I've always kind of been kind of interested in kind of understanding more about them, and they've always made me think and just kind of appreciate different aspects in terms of psychology or culture. And I mean, there's no words at this point in terms of saying how much I want to thank you for all of
Oh,
the effort that you put into that. So
thank you.
yeah, I'm just really really happy that you kind of got
Thank
something
you.
from this as
Oh,
well.
thank
And
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
inviting me to
No,
this.
thank you for accepting it. So I wish you a great weekend, and I don't think we are going to see each other before Christmas. So I wish you a great Christmas, and yeah, I will see you before New Year's Eve. So I hope you have a great time with your family and
Thank
stay
you.
safe.
It's my birthday on Christmas Eve as well, so I'll let you know. I'll let the world
Yay!
know.
Yeah, now
but
everyone knows. Yeah.
but yeah, thank you. And have an awesome Christmas. I know that you're moving as well, so I hope everything goes smoothly with that because moving's a big thing,
Mm,
and but hopefully you'll have your own space soon, and you can finally breathe out once
yeah,
everything's done and dusted, and
can't wait.
then yes, it'll be nice to kind of have that out of the way.
Yeah,
And yeah, I hope that you stay happy and healthy over this next few weeks, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
yeah. Thank you, Nita. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Yes?
Thank you. Yes,
Bye bye.
definitely. But bye.
Ciao.